sick.
What is up, YouTube? We are Brevity Sports. I am Fredo, joined as always by Big Z. Say hi to the people, Big Z.
What's up, people? Welcome back. Sunday night, Thanksgiving week. I'm pumped for the turkey. Let's go.
Sunday night. Hopefully some of you are taking some much needed rest, maybe vacation. It's a great week to take some days off because you can get you take 3 days off, you get the whole week off. That's kind of nice. Kind of nice.
Exactly, dude. This is the start of the best time of the year, at least for me. At least it's feels good.
Who's calling people on Thanksgiving week? Like, are you realistically calling places like expecting some sort of service? Like, come on. Like outside of travel, I feel like travel agencies, you reap what you sow. You're in the travel game. Like this is a very traveled holiday. But like everybody else, like I'm not calling my vet this week, right? Like I'm not calling, you know what I mean? Like name that. Like I'm not trying to figure out my phone company issue this week. Like if there
the
is
only
an
places
issue,
like Starbucks, fast food. I always feel bad, even though like I partake in going to Starbucks on like Christmas or something.
Yeah,
it's just part. But like like those that industry, I think actually it's affected more like a negative way.
Oh yeah,
because like they get busier, right?
Oh, hands down.
But yeah, the point you make, it's like I'm not calling my freaking internet bill or my
you're
electricity.
in sales. You're in sales, right? Like there should
no one's going to answer. No, this is like vacation time,
right?
Like
nobody should be
all the oh, there goes my thumbs up again. I don't know how I do that, but like yeah, like when the people who make decisions, they're gone for like the next month. So it's like, hopefully hit my goals by now, because if not, it's done.
It was so funny when I was selling like in sales for like construction, like back in the day, like literally our boss would come to us like, come on guys, like what's on the pipeline? It's like no one is working. Like from here to January, there's like skeleton
probably
crews,
including your boss.
Right? Like there's nobody working. Like, come on, like what do you want me to do? I remember like, especially in sales, like you're saying, like the most I would do is drop by with like a pumpkin pie. Like that was
right.
I'm gonna bring you a pumpkin pie for you to enjoy, and then I'm leaving. So
that's it.
like,
that's the extent of the conversation. Yeah.
You don't want to hear from me. I'll tell you. You know what, Big Z? Before we get on, this is a YouTube special, okay? Because I'm tired of getting hated on from the podcast viewers that are just anti-Brock. We have a special contingent, I'll say, of individuals who listen to our podcast pretty regularly that are just, to me at this point, they're anti-Brock. And I'm not a Niners fan, right? And I'm watching the Niners play tonight. And all I've been told time and time again is that if you plug any quarterback in and you have Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, George Kittle at tight end, Deebo Samuel out on the wings, it's the easiest thing to win because Kyle Shanahan is your coach. And his system
and play.
And his system is incredible. And that's not what I saw. Right?
Yeah, it's actually funny. It's the 49ers' worst loss since 2018. And who came over in 2018 was Jimmy Garoppolo. And then after that, Brock Purdy. And before that, with Kyle Shanahan in the system, it was Nick Mullins, CJ Beathard, a bunch of other quarterbacks that just didn't work. But yeah, like he said, I've been told time and time again, like this week I was told, oh, just put Daniel Jones in there and he's going to do good. He's going to be fine. He's going to be like an all-star, a Pro Bowler. Yeah, just do it. That's how good they are. It doesn't really matter. And it was very apparent today that the 49ers missed Brock Purdy. And, in Allen, the backup, he did everything that he could. Deebo was dropping balls that were going to hit his hands, and Lambeau Field was just a tough place to play. But there's throws that Brock would have made. He would not have let that game get that much out of control. He just would not have. And it proved that Brock is worth that big money. Today proved that. I was a little scared if the Niners won and Allen had a decent game, because the haters would have been like, oh, look, see, we told you so. But there was nothing. There was nothing today, because all week it was like, oh, they're going to win. It's fine. Like, Allen's going to be okay. And it was just silence from our listeners about how bad the 49ers looked. And so
they looked terrible.
I felt kind of, I felt kind of right. I was like, I've been saying this for years. You've been saying this. And it's just very, very apparent that they missed.
He's a gamer. And it's stuff that we're going to get into when we go on the podcast. Like when it's equivalent to me of when you hear praise certain guys that are flashy and they have the arm talent, right? These are the words that people love to throw around: the arm talent, the arm strength,
right?
Just a God-given ability, right? Like we hear like heaps upon heaps of praises. Like they make one good throw, and it's like, oh my goodness, this guy, Anthony Richardson, Caleb Williams, look at and yet guys like Brock Purdy, guys like Bo Nix that aren't as loved, that aren't as impressive, are just silently winning games, are silently just going about their business. They're not nearly as impressive. Like, right, I was listening to a fantasy football podcast. One of my very favorites, the guy's amazing, Chris Harris. And like literally he's praising Bo Nix while also simultaneously mentioning like he only really made like 2 or 3 impressive throws.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the sign of a great quarterback is not having to make impressive throws. It's reading the defense to make the easiest possible throw.
Which
it is
Patrick
running
Mahomes does all the time. And Tom Brady did all the time.
Everybody used to crap on, like, are we going to sit here and pretend like Tom Brady's every throw was amazing? Like when he was with the Patriots, his deep balls were non-existent. Like when he went to the Bucks, that's when we started to really see the deep ball, right? Randy Moss, we saw the deep ball. Bucks, we saw the deep ball. But outside of that, he was slant. He was dinking and dunking all over fools. Gronk every once in a while would get loose down the field. But I mean, that was not his game, right? His game was just to run the offense as efficiently as possible. And so when I hear like these sort of like underhanded compliments, I'm like, come on, man. Like, it's not flashy. It's not impressive. But as we just saw with the Niners, it's like, it matters, right? You cannot just plug and play anyone. These guys are good at what they do. Let's give them their respect, whoever it is. The same way that we
Cooper Rush. Except Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
You plug and play him, so maybe Dak's not really as good as his contract says.
that was insane.
I mean,
that was crazy. They scored so many points today.
Again, silence on that front again. But we can talk about that in the podcast.
Well, that was going to be on the podcast. We're definitely going to bring that up on the podcast. But, no, but I agree. Dude. It's so funny. I got a call from a customer like today. Before we jump on the podcast, I got a call from a customer today, a potential customer, and they were like, "Hey, like I'd love to have you come out and look at the pool." And I'm like, "Yeah, are you talking about this week?" And they're like, "Yeah, this week." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm off this week. There is no chance I'm coming to your backyard to take a look at your pool." But it's just like what we were saying earlier, like, like there's not a reason, like who's looking for pool service on the week of Thanksgiving? Like this is
you're gonna have a pool party on like it's cold. What are you doing, bro?
I won't lie, I do have a couple very bougie customers that their pool will be heated. Like they are like fresh on, they will heat that puppy to 90. It will be a disaster when I get back in a week, but it doesn't matter. Like every holiday they do the same thing. That's totally fine. Like I have those customers, but like in terms of like hiring somebody and like finding somebody, like call me in August when I'm like full swing. Like I'm acknowledging, like I'm having all the long days. I'm not getting home any kind of early. Like it's 105 degrees. Like let's do it. Let's just finish my route. I'll jump into your backyard. We'll do it. Like November. Like I am not looking to add a ton more work.
But that just shows though, like you've made it. Like you got your book of business. Like you're not, being like a scavenger, just looking for anything you can get. Like you have a already something that's like just there, right? Every single day you're going to hit these pools. Obviously not this week, but like back then in the day, you would have taken that call, but now you don't, probably. Right? You're ready to have your customers, your people.
A whopping 3 years later. God is good, man. But
man.
It's happened quick. It's happened quick.
Hell yeah, dude. Ugh. Hell yeah.
All right, let's do it.
You think I can do this time? You think I can do it right? You think I can do the transition right? I believe in myself.
I think 80% we got this, but I'm sort of hoping for another bump. Like that was amazing.
You're welcome to all the people last time. It was great. All right, we got this.
Here we go.
All right.
Yes, we are back. It is Brevity Sports, and now you actually heard the entire song. It was no longer just Big Z saying bum, bum, bum. It was our song. And so we are here. Big Z, say hi to the people.
Hey, people. So, yeah, sorry about that last week. Again, if you guys listened last week, I did not realize. And if I really hope you went on the YouTube because I was dancing, and that's funny. You didn't even mention last week that I was dancing. I guess you didn't notice it because I was like doing like my normal, my bad move,
right?
And Yeah, I was just vibing with the music because it was in my end, but like it wasn't being emitted out to the rest of you guys. So I apologize for not being on point last time.
Right.
But man, what a good weekend. What a great weekend, dude. I made a turkey. Oliver got to help me out with it this time more and more than like last year he kind of did, but he was like one. So now he's almost three and he was like really into it. We
Yeah.
made it, had a Friendsgiving last night. One of the couples has a 3-year-old.
Okay.
And so like Oliver and her were just playing the whole time. It was so fun just watching them, interact with each other, but like also we got to, hang out with our friends and the couples and it was really cool. Like he's getting to that age where he can do that if there's like another kid around, right?
Right.
And so like he's having a good time, we're having a good time. We joined in with them, and it's so it was cool, bro. Like it was good. And then today, yeah, just a fun weekend for sure. The weather's changing, it feels like the holidays are coming finally. So yeah, it was good, man. How about you? You had a special weekend?
Oh yeah. So celebrated the 13-year anniversary, which is
Woo!
crazy that somebody could put up with me for 13 years, but she did. And it was a blast. We went up to
She
Big
has, she
Bear.
still is, not
She
just
still is.
did.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah.
We went to Big Bear. It was amazing. Shout out to Big Bear. They are just like some of the most
Oh,
lovely people.
yeah, they are.
There is this little bar up there. Oh my gosh, what is it called? It's like a little Mexican food place. And it's like so good. Like they always take care of us. It's so funny. Like the waiter, like the bartender, we haven't been there in like years. And we walked and the guy's like, "Hey, you guys are back. You're celebrating your anniversary?" Because we like every year for a few years we were going up there. Right.
Nice.
And for whatever reason, it's just one of those spots where like people remember you. So they
That's
have
cool.
really, really good, really, really cool, just awesome, man. Just an awesome time, awesome place. We stayed at this little spot. It's like right inside of the town. I totally forget the name, and it's pretty rude that I do, but it's awesome. And so we stay right there, so we don't have to drive. And then just the same thing. There's a little Italian spot that's right there. Oh, it's so good. I'm so bad with the names, and that's why me and Danielle are the perfect fit because she will call and she will make reservations, and I'm like, this
There
is
you
the
go.
place. Like we
Yes,
gotta
that
go to
is.
that one place.
Babe, which place? The one place, the,
Yeah,
the Italian place with the cool spaghetti and
yeah.
yeah.
She
Well,
knows.
that's cool, man. Well,
It
congratulations.
was amazing. It was
Yeah, you
amazing.
guys, you guys are a great example for all the young couples, that haven't been
Yeah.
together that long. Like
Just
myself.
remember, if you're young, okay, and you're like on your first kid, and they're anywhere between like 2 to 5, okay, you do like each other. Like somebody out there needs to hear that. Like you do like each other. You
Right.
may have forgotten that because
Yeah.
a lack of sleep, sleep deprivation, and having to care for a thing that cannot care for themselves currently
Right.
is like a pretty big distractor. And I feel like there's a lot of couples out there like, oh, they've changed. Oh, they're not like, no, they
Right.
haven't. They're adjusting. But like if you make it through that, like if you get to the other side of that, like you start to remember, like, oh, I really do like you. Like the first time you hang out, like I'm sure when you like not too long ago, you hung out with Haley without Oliver for like the first time in
Oh yeah.
in a long time.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there was that realization. Like you obviously would never admit it, but I'm sure there was that realization on some level where you're like, wow, you I actually
Right. The
really like you.
conversation, which like kind of just reverted back to like pre Oliver. Like you're just
Yeah,
joking, everything's light, like you're just having a good time, right? And not that we're not having a good time,
of
but like
course, of
it's
course.
different. It's just different. And like
Yeah.
people know, like you have kids, you understand. But yeah, man, it's just like you just feel like you did when you were dating again. And so
Yes.
yeah, which is great. Yeah, it's we've gone through that where it's just like there's just so much going on around us that like in so many things that we have to put our attention to where you forget
Yeah.
about the
You
other.
forget.
And yeah, it's just natural. It's not because like you're falling out of love or anything. It's just because like it just happens. That's why
Yeah.
because you love the kid. You want to make sure that everyone thing is okay. But yeah, just yeah, that's a great advice, man. Just
But
yeah,
so, I mean, but so many
be
people,
intentional. Like put that 5 minutes, 10 minutes at the end of the
right,
day. Like, hey, I love you. How's your whatever it is. But
right.
it's great
And I feel
advice.
like so many people do like they associate it, like especially in this day and age, right? Like, no, we're
Yeah.
falling out of love. Like, no, you're not.
No, you're
No, you're
not.
not. What happened was
This,
you're used to this person putting you first, and you can't be that way because you both decided to put a child that actually needs to be first because they
right.
have to eat and they
Yep.
have to sleep and they
Yep.
can't walk around with a poopy diaper. So if
Right.
you are trying to be romantic and they wake up and they're screaming, you can ignore it for like maybe 5, 10 minutes before you're like, did I change their diaper before I
Yeah.
put it down?
Should I go check?
Did I feed them right? Like, it's just a lovely reminder because like this last weekend, right? Like, we just had Arwen. we missed last year, right? We kind of just went through that first year, right? And like where they're like she's so dependent, she can't do anything, and obviously she's still that way. She's only a year old. But you know, we were able to finally leave her for the first time, right? For like 2 days, right? Which is what we did. And it was like we're just hanging out. I'm like, oh, that's right, we are best friends. Like you are super enjoyable. That's right. I told her, you know, because especially for us, those who don't know, like just we're letting you behind the curtain, right? That's what we do at Brevity Sports.
That's right.
I have a 9-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, right? So I'd be gone, right? Like I'm going to the boys' game on Friday. I'm going to coach them. We're going to have a great time. Danielle's like, babe, it's like 50 degrees. Like Arwen can't go. So even those times were like, it's already bad enough. Like literally, she's made the joke multiple times. Like you realize we've never watched our sons play baseball together. And I'm like, in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I'm always on the field. Like you're right. We've never sat and watched the boys just play together. Like it's not, like even all-stars, like I ended up on the field with them. And so, you know, like even that little togetherness that we had where she was always at least in the stands, I kind of look over and say like, hey babe, you know, how are you? Whatever. You know, she's at home now because it's too cold for Arwen. And I'm at the field with the boys. And then, you know, it was a whole thing. So it was just really nice to get that time together. All to say, don't forget, you guys do like each other. I'll tell you who may not like themselves right now, Big Z. Giants and Jets fans, man, it is imploding, Big Z. It is imploding.
Implosion.
So you thought it was bad for the Jets, right? Like the Jets have been bad, and like the Giants have been bad, but also we kind of expected the Giants to be bad. Like there was not sort of like this like revitalization in the offseason where like, oh, the Giants are going to figure it all out.
And so they lost their best player.
Right. They lost their best players. So we're like, okay, you're going to suck. And that's okay. But then, like, even they sit Daniel Jones and then he requests to leave. And then Brian Daboll, their coach, comes out and said, I'm super blindsided. Like, wait, you're super blindsided that you sat a legitimate starting quarterback in his league and he wants to leave.
And you put him on scout team as a safety. And then you're super blindsided though. Like the next thing he does is request his release. Like, come on.
Like what? Like, it's like I broke up with this girl. She doesn't want to hang out with me anymore. Like, yeah, like that checks out. She doesn't want to have dinner with you. Like that makes all the sense in the world. She saw you out with the new girlfriend. Like, why would she want to talk to you at all? Right. And other blindsided. And then the flip side of that, it's like you have this girl who like won't leave, but she's not actually like talking to you. She doesn't hang out with you. She's not happy there. It's obvious she doesn't want to be with you, but she won't leave. And that's Aaron Rodgers, right? Like he doesn't want to play. He's not happy. It's never his fault. Like never, ever his fault. Like it doesn't matter that Mike Williams has already gone over to a new system and made fantastically large plays for the Steelers. That like doesn't matter, right? Like he was on the Jets and he can do a thing right? And whenever he missed a play, it was his fault, right?
His fault.
He was in the wrong spot, even though he came out and said like, all I need to do is make it to the red line. He needs to put it on me, read where I am. All I need to do is make it to the red line. And yet now, like there's uncertainty there. Is he even going to start again this year?
I saw today that he's going to be put on the IR most likely for the rest of the year, and then that next season, like they're done with him. Like they want to part ways. Like, but question is like, who's going to go get him? Who's going to go?
That was the best article. So that was the best article I read. Is people were like, "There's going to be a demand, but for Aaron Rodgers, like, by who? Like who? Like, okay, look across the league. If you actually look at the teams, I feel like a few years ago, maybe there's like sort of a case to be made, but like we just saw Bryce Young just gave the Chiefs everything they could handle.
Yeah, he looked good. He looked good today.
He's figuring it out. He's still very young.
Yep.
Will Levi's just beat the Texans. I'm not going to say he had an impeccable game. I'm not going to say they like.
But he got a win.
He got a W.
Yeah.
Right? So like when you're looking at some of these bottom of the barrel teams, right? The Panthers the Patriots. Drake May, is he making mistakes? We're going to go over that in a little bit. Yes, but like, are you going to get Aaron Rodgers? Are you going to sell Drake May to get this like aging quarterback who never admits it's his fault?
Right.
Like who's arguing? I mean, look at what's happened with the Jets. Coach fired.
Yep.
Offensive coordinator fired. Right. It's not Aaron Rodgers fired. It's not Aaron Rodgers' fault.
Right.
Like, come on, man. At some point, the darkness retreat didn't work. Right.
Yeah.
Like it. Oof. Right. And then you have the Giants. Like New York is just in shambles. Right. They lose the World Series. Aaron Rodgers is just taking the Jets for everything they're worth. And then you have the Giants. Like a head coach, literally, Big Z. I mean, how are you blindsided? Like you talked about it, Big Z. You literally said a second ago, and you texted us when it happened. Like, is Daniel Jones really playing safety? Like that is so disrespectful. That is so terrible.
It's sad, man. It really is. Like Daniel Jones, like I feel really bad for Daniel Jones. Like I feel like he was just given like the short end of the stick in this whole thing. Like he deserves so much better. And yeah, like Daniel Jones needs weapons around him to be successful. But like what quarterback doesn't in this league? Besides, unless you're like Mahomes or Brady. But like he just wasn't. They didn't take care of him. They didn't build around him. And now he's the one who's being scapegoated for, for their failure. And I feel really bad. Like the Jets, they did this to themselves.
Yeah.
Like they signed on to the Aaron Rodgers thing. They decided that he's going to be their savior. He's their GOAT, blah, 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 blah. But Daniel Jones, like I truly feel bad for him. Like I really hope that he finds success wherever he goes next. 100%. I really do. He's such a nice guy.
He needs to go. He needs to do the thing that Flacco has done so well. He needs to find a team with maybe a struggling starting quarterback that might need a veteran presence at some point and go there. Right? Like go sign with Miami. Go start learning that playbook.
I think the Dolphins would be perfect. Great offense. Fit. Yeah.
Tua is, God forbid, I'm not wishing it on him at all. Like, I don't want to speak into the universe. If something should happen, like, they need a legitimate backup quarterback, like, go there. Like, I love that move for him. But yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, Malik Neighbors said it today, right? Malik Neighbors come out. It's not the quarterback, right? At some point, it's not the quarterback, right? Yeah. Tommy DeVito was getting lit up. Like, I mean, like he stole something. He looked awful. And again, to make it the NFL, listen, I know it doesn't all, we don't all sound like this, and I want to be consistent, but understand at the base of Big Z and I's conversation, we always understand these guys are freaks. The guys we're talking about are the elite 0.01% in their sport. So it's the same argument that I made earlier this year, just to show the consistency of what we're saying, when everybody's like pooping all over Bryce Young. And I'm like, Bryce Young was one of the best quarterbacks in the world for years. Yeah. And that was proven by the fact that he went to Alabama and led them to a national championship. And all of a sudden, he just forgets how to play football. And like we talked about that, like a lot of it is the system and the situation in which you end up. And so when I look at this, again, Tommy DeVito and whoever his backup is, like these guys are Locke, right? Like these guys are the best in the world. Yeah. They were the elite guy that you had on your football team when you were growing up, that they just won the game by themselves. And there was nothing you could do to stop them. Right? There was nothing you could do. That is these guys, right? And so this idea that like, no, they just suck. They all suck. Everybody on the Giants suck. No. At some point, something is missing. And I totally agree with you. I mean, you look at the Giants. Tracy has been an absolute gem. I love Tracy. I don't want to take a shot at him. He's been an absolute gem. They found him. I think they should pay him. I think he looks fantastic. That is a great find for you. But him and Neighbors, and then who? Right? Like Sterling Shepard. Okay, cool. Like he's been good. He's had moments. Okay. But
you had Saquon. You could have had him back for cheap.
By the way, he looks pretty good. He doesn't look like he's lost a step, man. Like
he looks even better. Right. Like it's you just feel bad. I feel bad for Giants. I really do. I truly do.
It imploded so quickly.
Like, it really did. But yeah, it's like Saquon's like somewhere tonight just laughing so hard, like because he went off tonight, and also like I told you so. Like you're not going to pay me.
It's not just that he's going off tonight. He's the best running back in the league.
I know, like by far. And there's some good ones this year. Like the older, like Derrick Henry's been really good. Josh Jacobs, but like Saquon is like a step above those guys as well.
Jacobs is fantastic. It's not a shot. Jacobs is fantastic.
Right.
Henry is fantastic. Kamara is.
But Saquon just like he decided. Like he chose exactly where to go. Like they built an offensive line around him. They built a system around him. I saw a stat today with the Giants. I think yards before contact per handoff, it was like 1.2 yards. And now with the Eagles, it's like he's not touched for like 2.8 yards until contact after being given the ball. Like that's insane. That's gives him an extra half a second to a second to figure out like which hole he's going to get into and break out for a 70-yard run. And it's super apparent tonight like that. It benefits him and it keeps him healthy.
We're all wondering for like a time, like how good is he, right? Like I like when he was with the Giants, we were kind of like how good is he really? And now we're seeing it, right? Because he's still making people miss, right? Like in the Giants, he would still make those guys miss, which is why he was so like relevant in fantasy football and in the NFL. Like even though he's always getting hit behind the line, always getting touched, like he was still making guys miss. And now we're seeing it, right? We saw it against the Rams tonight. It was on full display. The first guy's not bringing down Saquon Barkley. Like it's not going to happen. Like the first guy who touches him, doesn't matter. Like I'm watching this. I'm watching this as a Rams fan, and I'm like, Oh my God. And Jaden's like, he's so like Jaden is like getting pissed off on the couch next to him. He's like, come on, Rams, like we gotta win this game. Like, we're big Rams fans. And I'm like, Jaden, sometimes you watch a guy who's generational, and it's like, this guy's just that good. Like
Yeah,
there's
what are you gonna do?
nothing we can do.
While
There's
you're
that which is
laughing, like your fantasy team's like,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was
That's
gonna
why I'm
say
not that mad.
I have him in Brevity, so I'm not gonna lie. In our league, I got him. He definitely puts me over the top by himself on weeks. But I mean, let's talk about it. The big winners, right? Opposite of the Jets and the Giants, who are just like, what is happening, right? The
Yeah,
big winners so far, right? The Lions look certainly the best team in the
yeah,
NFL.
they're so
The
good.
Chiefs have not opened. I would say the Chiefs have opened 25% of their playbook. And I don't think I'm exaggerating. I think if
Yeah.
you watch the Chiefs play, like set aside what you're seeing in terms of points, and if they just lost to the Bills, I would argue that they have not even remotely opened up most of their playbook. Like
Well,
it,
yeah,
they're going to get to the playoffs.
it's very simple. Like I feel like that's why like they're in close games is because
Yep.
their offense is just very. I don't know. It just doesn't look like it's complex right now. Like there's not a lot of
Nope.
motions before and
Nope.
pre-snap, and Mahomes is doing Mahomesy things, right?
Yep.
And like that's why, like in the clutch moments, and that's why they're winning these games. And like so, like it's nothing against them. And I think it's a great point. Yeah, once the playoffs roll around, like you're gonna,
You're if you're trying to look at tape on them, you're gonna have to
yeah,
go back to last
right.
post.
I
You're gonna have to
do
go to
think
last game.
though, Noah Gray, he had 2 touchdowns again this week. He had it
He's
last week.
really good.
That dude's gonna be a stud like the
He's
next
really good.
4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a new addition. But other than that, they don't look super special. But again, I think they're hiding most of that playbook.
And
They're
then
waiting.
the playoffs, which we haven't seen again, but in the playoffs when they have two, when Travis Kelsey and Noah Gray are just doing their thing, and there's
Oh
two
my
of them
gosh. Yeah.
just doing that, like good
Right.
luck.
Yeah. Good luck.
I'm not
Good
gonna
luck.
count them out. I'm not gonna count them
No,
out. Like the Chiefs.
never. Whatever we do,
I'm not
it's
counting
like
them out.
we
The
always are. We're fools. So
the Eagles, obviously, I think so when we talk about these teams, I think the three best teams right now are the Lions, the Chiefs, the Eagles.
yeah.
And I think each of them have like a very clear path, right? Like the Lions, Montgomery and Gibbs are your horses. Amon-Ra
Yep.
St. Brown is amazing. Sam Laporta is amazing. Williams has been Jameson Williams has been a very nice
Yeah.
compliment. But Gibbs and Montgomery, Sonic and Knuckles, that's your move,
That's
right?
where
The
you start the
Chiefs,
game with. Yep. That's your
the
emphasis.
Chiefs, you got Patrick Mahomes, everything
Yeah.
fun, goes through him. And the Eagles, to me, all this love. And look, I don't want to take a shot at anybody, okay? But like watching this game was slightly frustrating, right? Like all they kept talking about, his name escapes me. What the
Collinsworth.
announcer, Chris Collinsworth, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Hurts. Stop talking about Jalen Hurts, man. This is Saquon Barkley's team.
Right.
Saquon Barkley is the best player on his team. He is what they were missing last year. Everybody wants to know what were they missing last year when they got blown out in the first round of the playoffs by the Giants, the team that we just talked about is an absolute dumpster fire. What was missing? Saquon Barkley. Like Saquon
Right.
Barkley is that offense. Like
Right. He
more
anchored
than
them down. He's their foundation.
he's the
Right.
guy.
Yeah.
Like build your team around that guy as you've done, as you continue to do. And I thought one of the cool stories to come out tonight, that this sort of glazed over, was that part of the offensive line.
I was just going to say this. I was just going to say this.
Right?
Yeah.
Went to their coach and said, like, hey, we got to go back to our fundamentals. Like, we got to go back to who we are. Right.
Yeah.
And
yeah, we got to get Saquon the ball. Like, that's the guy. Like, let's be a run first team. Like, we are not a good pass first team. If we do that, that's our identity. We're not going to win football games. We're not going to go in a deep playoff run. And he, to his credit, Sirianni's credit, and I think that's probably the best decision he's made as a head coach, because I think that he was a very thin ice before.
Yep.
He listened to his players,
Yep.
which is sometimes you have to listen to your players because they're the ones in the trenches, and especially your offensive line, because like those are the real heroes of your team, right? And yeah, man, look at them. Like now they've won 7 in a row since then. They started 2-2. Now they're 9-2. So it's Saquon first, and then everything else happens after that.
The path to beating them, to me, and especially coming to playoffs, is going to be very simple. You've got to score first. Like when Kyron Williams fumbled tonight, I was like, we lost.
Yep.
Jay's like, what? I was like, we lost. Like we were driving, we were doing everything we need to do as Rams fans, as the Rams. If we score, at least we put pressure on them. Right now maybe like if you can get Jalen Hurts to start trying to force the ball, right? Like if you can get him to start trying to throw the ball, like in the game plan, you can get the Eagles into trouble. But if you don't score and you let them do what they want to do and have the game that they want to have, you're going to be in trouble. Same thing with the Ravens, right? The Ravens are like also in that bucket for me. The Lions, the Eagles, and the Ravens, right? If you can score on them first and put them into some trouble and get them a little bit off their game, right? I think that is the path to beating them. Patrick Mahomes, Good luck.
Good luck figuring that out.
He does. Yeah,
Because they got everything.
Nobody's
Andy
done
Reid,
it.
Magnolia, everyone.
Nobody's done it. But I mean, and
Yeah.
shout out. Let's not glaze over. Shout out to the Lions again. Just winning games.
10
Everybody's
and
talking.
1. Yeah.
Oh, Anthony Richardson's gonna have a great game. He's gonna ball. I mean, he
on
did
the
fine.
road, 6-0 on the road. Goff. When's Goff going to Goff? And like he did, and they still won. Like a couple of weeks ago, like got 5 interceptions. They still won the game.
Still won.
But it's because Gibbs and Montgomery, again, like that. That's what they did. They forced the ball down their throats. And then when Goff had to make a pass every now and again, he did it. And this is not a shot at Goff. It's just they stay true to their identity. Yep. And that's how you win games in the NFL. Like that's the system. And their system that's a very efficient system. And they're doing it very highly efficiently. So good for them, man. Like, they're a scary team. I don't want to, but they're going to beat you up. I don't want to play them in the playoffs.
They're going to beat you up. And then when they don't want to beat you up, that was what was so important to me. Like Sam Laporta is great. Like I don't want to take anything away from Sam Laporta, and he's great as an option when he gets open and defenses forget about him. But the reason defenses are going to forget about him is because you have to account for Jameson Williams, right? Like he looks fantastic. Yeah. Him and Amon-Ra, like pick your poison. Like they're going to beat you one-on-one every time. So, okay, I'm going to stack the line. And I'm going to go after Gibbs and Montgomery. Boom. One of those guys running for 80 yards down the field. You're never catching Jameson. Good luck. Yep. I mean, scary, scary teams. Special shout-outs as well. Vikings, Dolphins, Bucks. I don't think these teams are as talented or as scary, but they're on the hunt. The Dolphins, hey, they've rattled off a few in a row. I know they're still below 500, but they do look like a different team right now.
Since Tua's come back, I think they're 3-0. Yeah, they were 2-6, and now they're 5-6. Won a divisional game. I mean, it's the Patriots, but divisional games, as we've seen in the NFC West, and like they're not easy games. And the NFC East today, and the Commanders and the Cowboys, Vikings. Yeah, I think again, Vikings were like 13-3 a couple of years ago, and we're like, is that a real 13-3? And they're 9-2 right now, and I'm still questioning it. Mm-hmm. Like they beat the Bears in overtime, barely beat them. And it's because of some miscues by the Bears. But again, they still won. So you have to give them their credit. But I'm still questioning, like out of those teams that you listed, still questioning whether the Vikings are the real deal. Their defense is, but they're offensively, I think you can rattle Sam Darnold. And Justin Jefferson has not looked good the last few weeks.
And the Bucs are playing like they ain't got nothing to lose. So they're terrifying. I mean, they have the perfect guy to run that offense the way that it's currently being run.
And they're only a game out in their division.
With the Falcons trending the wrong way. With the Falcons
they're going to play the Falcons wrong again.
Yeah.
And that was a shootout last time. So
it's interesting. It's very interesting. I will say losers, hard exclamation, no question mark this week. I know I've been doing the whole question mark thing last couple of weeks, but like the losers this week for me, Big Z, tell me if you disagree. But man, I think there's some teams that are really, really in trouble right now. And I got to start with these two teams are above 500. In fact, they're still one is in second place in their division, the other is leading their division, but they are in a lot of trouble. To me, it's the Commanders and the Texans. They are in trouble. They are trending the wrong way. I don't know what's happening right now with Young. Look, obviously they're still doing amazing. They're in first place over the Indianapolis Colts. They're 7-5. They got a 2-game cushion, but they are completely trending the wrong way. And then the Commanders, again, the same thing. The Commanders have beaten bad teams, but every time they've played a decent team, they are not doing well, including against the Cowboys with Cooper Rush. I mean, this is a game they should have won.
The Cowboys are trash. Like it's like they got destroyed by the Texans, who we just said are losers this week. Last week at home, they got destroyed by the Texans. When you go talking about the Texans, I think that CJ Stroud, I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback by any means, but I think that there's been some film done on him, and a lot of people have figured out some tendencies that he has. He's throwing a lot more interceptions this year, and it's just some growing pains that he's going through. I think next year he'll probably bounce back, but just taper your expectations on these guys. Like last year was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest quarterback prospect ever, and people were just giving him so much praise. Right. He loses his weapons, and things go bad. And today he runs out of his own end zone and gets to safety to kind of seal the game, and loses at home to the Titans. Which Will Levis, shout out to him, he had a really good game. He turned the ball over once, but 2 touchdowns, and he had a lot better of a game. And CJ Stroud just has to figure out what's their foundation? Yeah. And why have they won games this year? And I think it's Joe Mixon. right?
Yep.
Joe Mixon was not involved today at all. He had 14 carries for 22 yards. Get your best weapon involved, especially when nothing else is working. The passing game, you gotta go to Joe Mixon. And can you talk about the Commanders? I think the Cowboys are also biggest losers because if they lost today, their draft pick would have been a lot higher in the first round.
Yeah.
They just got like six draft picks higher or lower, whatever it is. Yeah, like worse in the draft because they won today. And Dak's also a big loser because you're talking about just plugging and playing, putting guys in the system. Cooper Rush looked like a stud today. Like his passer rating was through the roof. His completion percentage was great. He won them the game. Dak does not like. I don't know. He looked like Dak Prescott today, in my opinion. Like that's what Dak would have done. You know,
he looked fantastic, and all they did was get a worse draft pick, like you said. I mean, this game was utterly meaningless outside of that. I mean,
yeah.
Cooper Rush looked great. He did everything he needed to do. He didn't turn the ball over. I will say, I did think it was hilarious. Before we go back to that game, I love that every time Will Levis quarterbacks a game, like we have that blunder moment, and it's like a still shot of him doing something. I don't know if you saw this, Big Z, but the still shot today was like him putting his head down to just like go on a dead sprint, like all out run after he turned that ball over. He's just like head down, like I'm gonna get him, like I'm not gonna let him score.
Not again.
Of course, the guy did score, but I mean, he's figuring it out. And here's what I will say about Will Levis: it's like very special, is he continues to just sling the ball, and I have a lot of respect for that. And he doesn't try to do anything fancy. He's like, look, Westbrook, Kine, and Ridley are my best receivers. I'm gonna get him the ball. All right, I'm not gonna do anything crazy. And they find ways to win games. I mean, it was a huge win tonight, or today. And then of course, like you said, the Cowboys, man, like you said, they got way worse. And yeah, Cooper Rush did look pretty good. He looked pretty good in this offense all of a sudden. But I think the team that's far more in trouble, the Commanders, again, for the same reason.
Yeah.
For the same reason, you had Cooper Rush. Like, there's no way you can let Cooper Rush hang 30 something on you. Like, you can't. Like, if you want to be a playoff team, if you want to compete the way the Commanders want to compete, you've got to figure this out. Like, there's just no way. And the Eagles are not slowing down. Right. So if you have any concept of trying to catch the Eagles, I mean,
it's more of a wild card like this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, they're chasing the wild card.
This is a layup, man. Like, you have to, this was a gift given to you by the NFL schedulers. Like Dak's out. They just got blown out on Monday Night Football against the Texans.
Yep.
Like they're just not looking good. And you got this, like everything, like season's about to end. Like Mike McCarthy's probably going to be fired if they lose this game. And like, yeah, this was an easy W. And I think they were favored by 10.5 points.
Yep.
10.5. And they lost. And the way they lost, like it was a crazy game. It was, for fantasy purposes, if you had any of those players in the last 5 minutes of the game, it was glorious. But if you're a Commanders fan, man, it's a punch in the gut for sure.
It was like,
have to, and this is a learning moment for Jaden Daniels. I think like he finally went back to like rushing the ball, like when he had to, making smart plays, not just rushing to rush. Like he's just being efficient with the ball like the last 5 minutes. Using Terry McLaurin finally, like he hadn't gone to him all game, and then finally, like he goes to his best weapon again, and they score, they tie the game. Like again, go play to your strengths, utilize your weapons. I don't know why teams go away from them and try to get too fancy. Like Terry McLaurin's your best receiver, throw to him 10 times. Like last year, we're talking about Dak not throwing to CeeDee Lamb, and then like start throwing him 15 times a game, and they explode. They went on like a 6-game win streak. Same thing. Utilize Terry McLaurin. Like do the things that are going to get you a W, right? It boggles me, my mind sometimes.
Zach Ertz is a really fun story. Zacchaeus is
right.
Really
cool. Zach Ertz as well.
I shouldn't know Zacchaeus' name. I should know that guy's even in the NFL. I'll be honest with you. Throw Terry McLaurin the ball 20 times a game, and good things will happen. Right? Hand it to Brian Robinson. Give a little out route to Eckler, and then McLaurin. Like just get the ball.
Right.
We saw today. I mean, he had no business scoring on that touchdown. If you didn't see it, he literally caught the ball like 20 yards shy, and then just outran everyone.
Oh, like 60 yards shy.
He's like 60 yards. Like I know,
it was an 88-yard touchdown.
Yeah. I know you guys are in prevent, so there's all the safeties back here. I don't care. I'm just gonna run around everybody.
He's a freak, dude. He's a freak of like an athlete. Just like go
get him the ball.
Yeah, get him
absolutely. The ball. Another team. These were my teams. These are my teams. Teams are real trouble for this year. If you're one of these teams, You're probably really looking at next year already. We're not that close, but really we kind of are, right? So we just crossed through what, week 11?
Yeah, we're
So
Thanksgiving week now. Like it's
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, week
Put
17,
up or
week
shut up
18,
now. Yeah.
right there. But these teams are probably looking on to next year. I mean, you got the Bears, you got the Patriots, you got the Colts, and you got the Jets. Even though the Jets are on a bye, I just want to take a shot at them, like we already did.
Well, they're
But
done.
to me, listen, the Bears. Here's the thing. I don't understand why Caleb Williams keeps getting these Dude, if you watch this game, I'm not going to sit here and say that Caleb Williams had a bad game. Caleb Williams did fine. Okay. Did he miss some reads? Yes. Did he try to run around when he shouldn't run around? 100%. Did he try to go revert to some USC ball at times? Yes, he did. Is he still going to grow and get better? 100%. We've told you on this podcast. He's going to be a fine starter. He's going to be fine. But if you watch this game and you just listen to the announcers, right? I literally saw a quote from a legitimate sports podcast that was saying, literally, they showed one of his throws. It was like, Caleb Williams is one of one that makes this throw. Like, are you kidding me? Like, there's nothing he does that Patrick Mahomes or some of these other guys in the league can't do. Right. And that was the problem coming in, is that was the standard. Right. Everybody was calling this kid a generational talent. He's going to be one of one, and nobody else can do what this kid can do. That's just not true.
Yeah.
We know it's not true, right? This was a team, and I love that the goalposts keep moving, right? Because at the start of the season, this was for sure deadlock playoff team. That's what we were told. The Bears are making the playoffs by everyone. And you and I sat here, and I said on our very first podcast of the year, a successful season for this team is 9-8. I think that's a great year. I think that's Caleb Williams doing everything he can do to put this team in a position to win. I think 9-8 would be a fantastic season for them. And so now that they're 4-7, that's not going to happen, right? Like, look at the rest of their schedule. It's not going to happen. They needed to beat the Patriots a couple weeks ago. We already talked about that. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But regardless, what's not going to help this kid is like just continuing to throw all this praise on him. Like, oh, look at this throw. Oh, look at that. Like, I was texting Jason, the showman Sherman. One of his throws was like, what an incredible throw. It was a horrible decision. It should have been an interception, right? It absolutely should have been an interception. But Keenan Allen is a dog. That's the other thing. None of these receivers, which is arguably one of the best receiving cores in the game, just Keenan Allen, DJ Moore alone, and then you got this kid, Adunze. Komet is no slouch at tight end. They have all these weapons who aren't getting any credit. I'm not trying to take a shot at Caleb Williams. All I'm trying to say is, again, you got to temper these expectations.
Stop inflating his head.
And stop. Exactly, man. He's not there. You lost, right? You lost. Take a lesson out of my boy. Look, again, I know I'm going to heap praise on him because I do, but take a lesson from Bo Nix, right? Earlier this year, we saw Humphrey, his guy, drop several passes in a big game, and they lost. And what happened? Bo Nix comes right out and said, if he dropped it, I probably put it in the wrong spot. And everybody who watched the game was like, no, you didn't. Like, that was a perfect throw. He's got to make that catch. But he's not going to put it on anybody else, and that's not what you've seen from Caleb so far. And so I just think you're doing this kid a disservice. If you want to be impressive, then win the game, right? Forget fantasy, forget the stats, forget all that. Find a way to win the game, and then you'll be impressed, right? They got the ball in overtime. They had the ball, right? They started with the ball with a chance to end it, and they didn't.
And he did some USC stuff and got sacked on third down.
He got this, and that was a huge loss. I mean, it wasn't just a sack. It was like
a 15-yard sack. Yeah.
Oh wait, we're out of field goal range.
Yep. Punt
right?
it.
Like inexcusable. Can't happen. Right. It can't happen. In the same way, Drake May, he's young. I think he's got a lot of talent. Because we've already said we were wrong. Right. We were wrong about this kid. He's very talented. We also said Patriots, you probably need a few more weapons, which I think is what you're seeing before you draft your quarterback. But hey, it seems like you really did find a good one. Having said that, if you're Drake May, man, you just learn how to dump the ball down. I don't know why these rookie quarterbacks don't just take, like, Ramondre Stevenson is sitting out there in just a sphere of 15 yards.
Yeah.
Like, no one's even looking at him. Like, no one is bringing him down anywhere near, not stopping him for a first down. And Drake just takes a sack or just throws it away. It's like, dude, stop playing. You don't always have to play hero ball. Sometimes there's going to be moments where you got to go down, you got to score, right? Overtime. Go down and score. But man, in these moments, take what's given to you, right? Take what's given to you. Take the easy pass. Do what you got to do to win the game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. With the Patriots, those expectations were not there that were for the Bears and for Caleb. Drake, take the easy pass. I think you're 100% correct there. But I do think he has kind of exceeded the expectations that like we knew the Patriots were not going to be good.
100%.
But like again, like do as Jerron Mayo, like do your young quarterback a favor and freaking give Ramondre Stevenson some handoffs. Like he only had 8 carries today. Like that is not the recipe for success. Don't make Drake May drop back 40 times. You don't have a good enough team to do well and to be successful when your young quarterback is dropping back 40 times. Like you don't have an O-line to protect them, and he's just under duress all the time. So that would be my one thing. Like learn how to just make a more efficient system, a safer system to where your quarterback can succeed, play to his strengths, and help him be successful, help him get in positions to win games for you. Because that's why they got Drake May, to be the guy to win them a Super Bowl, right? They believe that he can be their Tom Brady of the future. And so you have to put him in situations to win the game. And the way that they are game planning around him is not smart. So I think this is more on the coaching staff and not really on Drake May as much. Though, yes, you are right. Take those easy dump downs because Patrick Mahomes, Brady does it. But again, like you have to, it starts from the top and it starts about the film room, the practice, everything. And there's just something, there's a disconnect there. When Ramondre Stevenson, I think the best athlete besides Drake May, actually probably the best athlete, but the best player besides him on your team is only getting 8 carries a game. Like that's odd to me. So figure that out. But I think that they have exceeded expectations overall because we really didn't have any for them.
Oh, 100%. 100%. They've absolutely exceeded expectation. And that's such a great point, Big Z. Yeah. You know, like what message does it send when you're asking him to drop back? Oh, well, maybe they don't want me to hand it off to Ramondre Stevenson. It's like, yes, we do. Yes, right. We do. And by the way, it doesn't matter if you're losing. It's not a valid excuse. Well, they're getting blown out by Miami. I don't care. Yeah, you're not trying to win this year. Yeah. You're not making the playoffs. Yeah, what you're trying to do, something. Right. You're trying to build a foundation. So your game plan, the Patriots have a luxury that many teams don't. And it's exactly what you said. There was zero expectation coming into this year. Yep. Right. Do I think Mayo should be fired? I don't. There was zero expectation coming into this league. So use that to your advantage. Hey guys, this is our game plan. If we're down by 40, this is our game plan. If we're down by 20, this is our game plan. If we're up by 10, this is our game plan. Yep. Like your game plan does not change. You are not one of these teams that has Josh Allen and this thing figured out where it's like, you know what, dude? We're down by 10. Let's go out there. Let's sling this thing around, right? You don't have Patrick Mahomes. That's not the situation you're in. Just have a game plan, execute the game plan, and the game plan should be Ramondre Stevenson, the best player on your team, touches the ball to help your young rookie quarterback from making horrible decisions, which is why the last few games you had a chance to win, they were driving, and all everybody talked about was those Drake May interceptions. Look at the terrible decision. Why are you putting the game in your young rookie quarterback's hands? Yep. Like, just, you're not that, right? Like, when we're talking about, somebody might be listening and say, like, did you guys just go off on Caleb Williams for making poor decisions? Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Caleb Williams has so many more weapons than Drake May. It's not even funny, right? DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, list goes on, right? This team was built to win.
Yeah, it's the top weapons, I think, in the game.
There's like the Lions, right?
Yeah, the Lions, but yeah.
And then who else has more weapons than the Bears, right? You got the Lions, league of their own. We all can admit that. Cool. Besides them, who else has the weapons that the Bears have right now, including, I mean, look, he hasn't panned out completely, but he has had some good games. DeAndre Swift, who killed it for the Eagles last year. So, again, a little bit of a difference there. Yep. Before we move on from the NFL, real quick, last thing, Big Z. The NFC West is like the most chaotic thing.
It's so weird.
It's wild because as bad as teams may look at times, they're not actually bad, right? The Eagles came to play the Rams, and outside of if Saquon Barkley doesn't just go full hero mode, it's a very close game.
Yeah.
Right? Like Saquon went off, kudos to him, he did it. Great. But like we just saw, right? The Falcons, the NFC South leaders came to play the Seahawks, they got blown out. Right? Like so again, like these are not bad teams. Like most teams that are in this, like around the NFL, are not just going to come in and blow out an NFC West team. Obviously, Green Bay just took out a Niners team without their starting quarterback, who does matter, no matter who tells you he doesn't and who says he's just a system quarterback. Obviously, they just showed it mattered. But the NFC West is chaos.
All I'll say is like when you have actual Hall of Fame football players saying that this Brock Purdy is legit and like he is a franchise quarterback, I'm going to listen to them over other people who haven't played football. But it is a very chaotic division. They're just beating each other
Insane.
up. They've all played each other like 4 times each team has played each other 4 times. It's just this is a classic, like, this is kind of like back in the day before like the Niners took over the NFC West for the past few years. This is kind of how the NFC West was. Just, yeah, they win a few non-divisional games, but it's just they're just going to beat each other up, and they're all going to be around 500, and it's going to be decided by one game and the last week of the season, and it's really, really fun. And so I love it. I honestly think that it will go down the last couple weeks. I think the Niners and the Rams, they play each other in week 14 or something, December 12th, Thursday night game. This is gonna be a super fun game. Cardinals play the Seahawks again. I just think that this is just good old school hard-nosed football. Like, these guys just hate each other. They truly do. And none of these games are easy. Like, it's really fun to watch. And like, if you like defense, when all these teams get together and play each other, it's just a defensive battle, and the tougher team always prevails at the end. And so, yeah, it's fun. I think a team, maybe there could be like an 8-9 team winning this division this year.
Yeah. No, I mean, look at no further than we thought. We sort of thought, we talked about it last time we did one of these podcasts, like a week and a half ago. We talked about it. Like, oh, like look, the Cardinals have found their wings, and they look awful. Like, the Seahawks beat the tar out of them. Like, they couldn't move the ball. Nothing was working. See how the Seahawks looked like world beaters. But then we've seen the Seahawks lose to the Rams, right? Like, so, oh God, like who's going to win? First place in the division right now is 6-5. The last two teams in the division are 5-6. So from top to bottom, there's a game. There's literally a game, one singular game that separates the top of this division to the last. It's a fun division to be a part of, certainly. We are going to have, by the way, for those of you listening, I know we usually do like some sort of preview. We're going to have a second podcast that comes out, our special Thanksgiving podcast that comes out for you on Thanksgiving. So you have something to listen to this weekend. If you're hanging out, doing whatever, we'll have another podcast coming for you later this week, and we'll talk about some of the games that are going to happen. So stay tuned for that. Going to be awesome. Big Z, fantasy football.
Yes, sir.
Last time we did this, I sat here and I said, it was a while ago now, but if you recall, I sat here and I called out Jared Goff, and I was like, dude, this guy's going to ball. And it was weird coming from me. And boy, at the time, did he ever ball. That was a game that he just absolutely put it on the Jaguar. Dude threw like 5 tutties. I started him in one of my leagues that I absolutely needed a starter. I put my money where my mouth was. I started him. Dude, guy balled. I loved it. How'd your guy work out? Who'd you have?
I got Debo, man. I picked him, and he had 6 points. Played the Seahawks. Just didn't look good. Like, no, I thought, with Kittle out, he'd be more of a focal point.
Yeah.
He just hasn't. He's had 1-2 decent games this season. He's old, man. Like, I think besides Kittle, they're just an aging group of stars. People call them the Avengers and all that, and they just don't look like, they don't have that same oof in their step anymore.
No.
And even CMC today. But anyways, Debo, I was definitely wrong about that. And and he looked even worse today. So I'm not going to be picking Debo going forward. So I'm sorry if you guys picked him because of me.
We will have some picks for you on Wednesday. But yes, I mean, I agree 100%. Like, watching them tonight, literally, that was thought in my head. It was like, we can no longer talk about this Niners team as like an elite group of weapons.
I mean, CMC looked like terrible.
You have CMC, who's got like, but he's literally has like the cartilage or whatever in his knees. Like, he has the same thing that Todd Gurley did. Like, we all remember the quick decline for Todd Gurley. Like, he was on top of the world, and then he wasn't, right? Like, and then you have Kittle, who's still a dog. I'm not going to sit here and say Kittle's not a dog. He's still a dog, but again, a little bit older. And then without Brock, without the guy that makes it work, the magician apparently, who makes his team look semi-comparable, because tonight, whatever that was not it. And I don't want to hear about the Green Bay's defense, because they have gotten in shootouts with everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, I mean, Brock, get back soon. The Niners need you, buddy. That's for sure. Did anybody let you down? For me, my letdown this last week that just passed by, Jonathan Taylor, man. Yeah. I keep waiting for him to pay me back for that second round pick, and he just has not done it, man.
Yeah, bro. Not good. For me, Javonte Williams let me down in one of my leagues. 2 points. Last week he had 18, and I was like, you know what? Like, they found something. They're playing the Raiders. Bo Nix is going to find him on some like short little out passes, because like Bo Nix is good. He's a very efficient quarterback, and he had 2 points, and it just was not a good day from Javonte Williams. It made me mad. But I still won in that league. Well, I'm up by like 80, so I should win. Knock on wood. But still, like I need more points, and so that was annoying for
If
sure.
you're listening to this podcast, you got to stay away from the Broncos running back room.
Yeah, exactly.
Until there's some sort of clarity, it just seems like they ride the hot hand. But
Yeah,
like I know a lot of coaches say that, like, oh, we're gonna ride the hot hand, and then it's that one guy like over and over
yeah,
again. Like that's
right.
not like they are legitimately riding the hot hand. So
Yep,
it's
they
going to
are.
be
Yeah.
imperative for you to stay away from that. Jumping into college football, dude, this was crazy. Indiana, Bama, Ole Miss, Colorado, BYU all went down. They all fell a ton, Big Z, and we're gonna have again. We'll have updated rankings for you on Wednesday because obviously they come out like on Tuesday night.
Yeah,
But like
yeah.
a lot of these teams, they skidded hard, right? Indiana down 5 spots, Bama down 6 spots, Ole Miss down 6 spots, BYU down 5 spots, Texas A&M 5 spots, and Army, of course. But Army, we didn't. They're a good team. They're still
It's a
ranked
fun
top.
story. It was a
Right.
fun
It's a
story.
fun story.
Yeah.
But I mean, some free fall. I mean, this is great. Oregon is the last team in the nation unbeaten. That's crazy.
Which is pretty crazy because like we thought, out of all the teams in the Big Ten that were gonna be or move from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten, that were going to be successful. Like I thought that USC would be up there with Oregon, but no one besides Oregon looks anywhere near incredible, and Oregon just keeps on doing it. I'm excited. I think they've clinched a spot in the Big Ten championship game with against Ohio State. I'm pretty sure now at this point. That's going to be a real test for them.
Yep.
Can't wait for that. I think one of the craziest stories is Kansas. They're in the Big 12. They're under 500, but they've won 3 games in a row against top 25 schools. Like this week, just beating Colorado. They're just destroying the Big 12. Like they're making that conference chaotic as possible.
Right.
Like they're making it so hard for the college football playoff committee to put a Big 12 team in the top 12 in the playoffs because like they're just it just looks so bad. Colorado looked like trash yesterday. But yeah, this is why we love college football and like we love this time of the year in college football because it gets so chaotic.
Yep.
There's so many upsets and it makes it so hard for those guys in the room. Like I would want to be a fly in that room to listen to those conversations going on, especially like last year. If it was like top 4, like it used to be. Oh my gosh. Like now there's 8 additional teams that they can put in so they can kind of, they defend the why they put teams in, why they don't. But yeah, man, college football is so fun to watch. Like I love it. And so, yeah, it was definitely a fun weekend for sure.
I'm sure whatever like comes down, whatever team's like 13 to 14, like we're gonna have the same exact arguments. That's gonna be the best part. It's like it's not gonna solve anything. We're still gonna have the same part. What I will say too is like whoever loses that game between Oregon and Ohio State should still be in the top 12. Like I don't want to see those guys fall out.
Oh, they
like,
will.
Both those teams
they will
deserve to be there. SEC, same thing. SEC. Like if you're in the championship game, you deserve a spot in the top 12. Let's find out what you got. Clemson sneaking in there. So we'll see. We'll see. Keep an eye on it. We'll keep updated. Something pretty cool, Big Z. Over in hockey land, Ovechkin is 868 goals. He is chasing down Gretzky. It's probably going to happen. He's expected to have 60-something goals this year. He's only 30 away. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I mean, Gretzky is like, even for non-hockey people, like, Wayne Gretzky's the greatest hockey player that's ever played.
Yep.
Like he's like Michael Jordan, right?
He's
like
and
so that's such a huge feat. I know. I hope he gets it. Taking him down is. I mean, as a kid, I doubt Ovechkin ever thought, imagined that he would take down Wayne Gretzky in the gold chase. And so we'll definitely give him props when that happens. You should definitely do like a historical thing on him, like, do some research, tell the people about him, his whole career story. But yeah, that's huge, man. I really hope he chases him down and gets it. Yep. For sure.
He was literally the reason that I was happy when the Capitals finally won their Stanley Cup. It's like I thought he was one of those guys that like he was like a Dirk Nowitzki. Like for those NBA fans out there, like he was the guy that you wanted to win. Like he deserved to win one, and when he did, it was like, yes, good. Right. Good, this is good. So MLB, Juan Soto expecting offers this week. Keep an eye out, man. There's so many good free agents. Walker Bueller talking to the
A lot.
Yankees.
Yeah.
A lot of guys.
Yankees, the Braves, Corbin Burns talking to the Dodgers, the Orioles. It's the landscape of baseball is definitely going to change. I think the Royals traded for Jonathan India from the Reds this like a couple days ago. Yeah, and so that helps their offense. Uh, but again, I think that baseball has it right. I think that once the World Series ends, they can start transactions right away. Like
Yep.
offseason begins right away. And so like football, you have to wait. So that's what I love about baseball. It just never ends. Like you have to be a round the year sport, and I think that's where baseball gets it right. Beyond the other leagues don't do that right. So super excited to see where Juan Soto goes. Hopefully not the Dodgers, unless it's like a 1 or 2 year deal. But
Yeah, I'm not. Oof.
I'd rather them resign Teoscar Hernandez, like lock him up for 4 or 5 years, give him whatever money he wants because he was a dog and he's going to be continue to be a dog, especially with that lineup. Like you're gonna have to
100%.
pitch to him, and
Yep.
so yeah, it's gonna be fun. Yeah, keep an eye on MLB on all the signings happening.
Resign our pieces. I agree 100%. And by the way, there's like a big conversation going around about the MLB always about like, oh, we got to figure out the cap. We got to have a cap. Look, can't have a cap without we cannot have a ceiling without a floor. So if we're gonna have those conversations, but let's have a cap and let's have a floor too. Because part of the issue is a lot of these teams just aren't spending. That's the issue. Like everybody wants to hate on the Dodgers. Like, look at all the money. Like they're spending all this money. The other owners have the same money. We don't even have the richest owner in baseball. That'd be the Mets, which is why they're the highest payroll, right?
All right.
So you want to talk about spending? Tell the other owners to go spend money. It's not the Dodgers' fault. Big Z, this has been fun. Big Z, let's go. Oh wait, real quick, Verstappen won. Verstappen won the
In
championship for
Vegas.
drivers. He clinched it. The constructors is still up in the air. It looks like McLaren's going to win that one, so they'll get their revenge as like a
Boom.
team. But Max did hang on, so he is going to win that. Big Z, this has been fun. Say bye to the people.
People, have a good week. We'll be back at you in a few days for our special Thanksgiving episode. We love you guys.
We will be back. We love you. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great night, great day, great weekend. Happy Thanksgiving. Check out our episode later this week. Hey, there's nothing better than Friday if you're just feeling fat and bloated. I know that's where I'm going to be, just chilling on the couch on a Friday. Just
Nothing wrong with that.
pop our podcast on while you eat that delicious. I'm a big fan of it, Big Z. Do you do it? 2 sourdough pieces, grab the
Ooh.
leftover turkey, slam some mustard on that puppy.
Mayo?
Dude, honestly, I can just get down with mustard, but my turkey comes out pretty, like even the next day, it's still very, very like,
It's not dry. That's good. That's good.
yeah, it does
Yeah.
not dry out.
Yeah,
So,
that's a good one. Yeah.
yeah.
There you go.
But if you
Then you
slap
don't
some
need it.
mayo on there, Jason, I guarantee you Jason slapped mayo on his. I guarantee it.
Will Levis would. Will
Will
Levis for
Levi's
sure
will,
would. Yeah.
100%.